The Triller Effect is the term used to describe how the promotion Triller is altering or changing the entertainment aspect of boxing fight nights. However, the Triller Effect is already ruining boxing. The event that occurred between Jake Paul and Ben Askren many moons ago was an absolute joke to say the least. The commentators were drunk out of their minds and were highly disrespectful to fighters on that night's card, particularly MMA legend Frank Mir, who had made his pro boxing debut that night. Triller Fight Night ended up becoming a glorified Coachella, as easily over half of the event was dedicated to ridiculously long and drawn-out performances by musicians people likely did not care about as they were watching the event for boxing. I paid the $50 to watch the undercard, and to watch the Paul vs. Askren fight. However, I ended up paying for a huge concert that I didn't ask for, and received little of my investment back in the form of coherent entertainment. It simply felt as though they just didn't know when to stop. It just felt like they just kept booking artists to perform for over 3 hours for seemingly no reason. The event was just so goddamn long and it had no reason to be. And Oscar De La Hoya and others over at Triller excuse and encourage this type of change for boxing events. However, it's just an awful decision for the boxing world, as boxing fans aren't watching Triller for music performances, especially not when everyone has already heard or owns the music being played. Hell, Snoop Dogg went on stage several times throughout the event, smoking a joint, and would sing songs from 20 years ago as if everyone cares or paid for such a thing, when in reality, no one really did. At least I didn't. There were 6 fights slated, and while they did happen, the amount of waiting while listening to shitty music was unbearable, as it's simply not what I, or many others, thought they were purchasing. It's fine to pay money for a shitty concert, but it's not fine to pay money for a fight night and receive a music festival light. Oscar De La Hoya was atrocious, especially as a commentator on that night, as he was far too high and drunk to be commentating on a fight. He was clearly excited about being able to comment on the fight, faded as all hell as he got really into the fight between Frank Mir and Stephen Cunningham, making wildly inappropriate and careless comments throughout the fight, as he very often boasted and gloating about his own boxing capabilities and how well he would do against the opponents he was commenting on. Except, De La Hoya wasn't there to talk about what he would do in the ring if he were the one fighting. He was supposed to observe and comment on the fight, hopefully in a fairly neutral manner. Yet, he decided to embarrass himself by showing no class or respect to the fighters. He also just didn't make sense at times, as he would yell USSR or USSAF in reference to Cunningham, who was in the US Navy. And obviously anyone can understand the sheer disrespect of statements like calling him a USSR soldier. And while the USSR is a pretty well-known acronym for the United Soviet Socialist Republic or the Soviet Union, so most can immediately see the issue with calling a Navy veteran USSR. De La Hoya's response to the criticism, however, of his actions and just the circus of an event Triller produced was just, not really a response at all.
The day, and then this big event, I didn't know how to receive it. It was a lot going on. Country music, hip hop, the Triller event, right? So you were a part of it, even calling a fight. I want to jump into it. It received, like, you know, some commentary, it generated buzz, positive and negative. Some negative buzz. Even Frank Mir, the fight that you called, he put out a tweet that was kind of getting at you a little bit. Give me a response. I want to give you the floor to respond to the negativity about your Triller participation.
No, well, look. First of all, it's the Triller Effect. I mean, look, Triller's doing it huge. They're combining music, entertainment, Snoop Dogg, you know, Ice Cube, Justin Bieber, you know, and it's the Triller Effect. It's entertainment and it's huge. I mean, it's about to do 2 million homes. It's trending worldwide. So obviously, look, I've been in beast mode for about 6 weeks, right? And I got a little into it. You know, I started having a couple of drinks, and then they told me, "Hey, why don't you go and commentate?" And I was like, "Oh man, okay." And I got a little carried away, you know, and I apologize, but it's all good. It's all good. I'm back in beast mode. I'm ready to go, and I mean, as you know, I've been posting pictures and videos of me training, so I'm gonna continue that. So it's on, baby.
Yeah, well, we had.
See what I mean? This is such a shitty response, deflecting any responsibility for being drunk out of his mind in a commentator's seat. He really should have known better for someone who's been in the business for so long. Oh, that's just the Triller Effect at work. Yeah, right, De La Hoya, it only really seemed to affect you in that manner. While this video is certainly late to the discussion of Triller, I still find it relevant to bring up Triller's and De La Hoya's lack of response to criticism, as it doesn't sound like anyone has learned from anything that happened during that shit show. And now they don't even have the draw of Jake Paul, as he pretty quickly jumped ship from the burning wreckage that is Triller to sign with Showtime. And while I have my own personal gripes with Showtime, especially in terms of boxing, that's still a much better business move on Jake Paul's part, as now all that Triller really has to attract viewers is Teofimo Lopez and Snoop Dogg as a god-awful fight commentator. And even considering Teofimo Lopez can only draw so many people in. And regardless, that's the only draw they have at this point. There's not much beyond that, and regardless, Teofimo Lopez's fights keep getting pushed back, whether it's due to COVID or whatever else. I've even heard to some degree that he is going to try and get rid of this title defense, as he does not want to fight Kambosos as a mandatory challenge, so we'll see what happens in that regard. However, with the state of Triller and the way that they have already held their past event, I would personally give the advice to not give your money to Triller. It's not worth it. I would never spend $50 or anywhere close to that again on a Triller event. It's just kind of a joke. I don't know why anyone would pay money for it at this point. I definitely think that if you're going to watch boxing events, you definitely need to go with pretty much any other promotion, whether it's Showtime or DAZN or pretty much anything else, but not Triller. Hell, even Social Gloves put on a better event for YouTubers versus TikTokers. Even that was better, and I didn't spend money on that. But you know what? If I did spend money on that Social Gloves event, I would have been more satisfied than having spent the $50 on the Triller event. Don't give them your money.